Hello, everyone joining the webinar of the Crypto Valley Association. It's now 6:03 p.m. here in Switzerland, and then in the respective time zone, Brazil is around 1 p.m. and in the other countries even earlier. So thanks everyone already for joining. My name is Tilmar Goos. I'm based here in Switzerland, just outside the Crypto Valley. I'm based in the city of Zurich, whereas Zug is about 20 minutes ride from Zurich, but usually during the daytime, I am based there. At the Crypto Valley Association, I chair the working group education, and we do all sorts of events in and around education. This entitles webinars, this entitles offline teaching sessions, collaboration with other universities, everything and in and around education. Our flagship initiative is our research journal, in where we annually define a topic all focused on Web3, invite dedicated authors and professionals and academics to provide a written piece of research to overcome several challenges we currently face in Web3. To give you an introduction, at 2022, our research theme was opportunities and challenges in the blockchain industry, relatively general topic to pick up the different authors. Then last year in 2023, due to the meltdown of several crypto projects, Luna, FTX, and others, we focus in particularly on risk management in Web3, covering everything from regulation, legal, and as well IT and other governance topics. We also launched in 2024 another research journal in where we focus on cross-border payments, in particular Latin America. Today's webinar some sort marks the start of this journey of 2024, focusing everything what has to do with payments, especially in Latin America. Why Latin America? So here in Switzerland, blockchain technology and cryptocurrency by themselves are rather an investment product, where you would appreciate when the market goes up and of course, need to mitigate the risk when the market goes down. However, also through my life in Mexico, I quickly noticed that cryptocurrency and blockchain in, let's say, maybe second-tier countries have a fundamental different role of infrastructure, meaning payment gateways, just because their banking system is inefficient, very costly, and there's also often migrant workers going to other countries on the Latin American continent and send money home. And those service providers, they take a cut-off fee, a large fee when those people send money home. Today, I'm very happy to welcome a very strong panel from Mexico, Chile, Brazil, Spain/Portugal to talk about the different challenges the panelists face with their own project in their respective market. So I think now this is for an introduction. We have now the counter still going up, but I suggest we continue our webinar. So let's start with a little introduction round. Please tell where you're from, talk a little bit about your project as a short intro, and then we move on. As my parents educated me and put quite some effort into this, I learned ladies first. So please, Christina, if you could kick off the panel, introduce yourself and tell a little bit about payments in Mexico.
Thank you, Tilmar. Good morning from Mexico, everyone, and thank you for that introduction. So my name is Cristina Lustuno, and I am a co-founder from a education multi-chain hub called Zona 3. And since 2021, I have been deeply involved in technology, development, and most important, entrepreneurship. So My focus is full education. And in that time, since 2021, I have been working with a couple of blockchain protocols in terms of education. I have been a education stakeholder for SUI protocol here in Latam with their first bootcamp in Spanish to learn how to build solutions for the region. And I start also with NIR protocol in 2021. So in that time, I discovered that I love blockchain, what the technology offers for Latam region in special, because here in Latam, we are living a situation that people, users need and screams about how we can solve so many problems in these regions such as Mexico and Chile. Here, Pato knows what I'm talking about. So right now in 2024, I'm a hub leader with Claudio from Internet Computer Protocol. It's the same story. We working on education so that people know the technology, and they can build these kind of solutions that solve that problems that we live in day by day here in Latam, especially here in Mexico. So, well, that's me, Cristina, and a co-founder of Zona 3. So nice to meet you all, and I hope to learn from you guys too. So thank you, Tilmar, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Christina, for the kind introduction. Very unique position, Mexico, from the European perspective. We don't know yet too much how blockchain develops itself. Looking forward to hear more throughout the panel. As you already referred to Patricio, please, Patricio, continue and introduce yourself to the guests.
Hi all, first I am Patricio Zavala, I come from Chile. I am a CBA member since 2021. I lived a couple of months there in Switzerland. It was a great experience, but now I am based in Chile. I am in Bitcoin and in Bitcoin since 2017, sorry, and full time in crypto since 2019. So quite a bit actually for the industry. But the project I am developing now is called Cafinca, which is a network of crypto coffee vending machines we developed, where you can pay with crypto, and basically you have what we call smart payments. That is, when you pay your coffee, your cappuccino, the payment is automatically distributed to the producer, to the roaster, and to the machine operator. So we have developed a business model where we collaborate with the producers in Costa Rica, and now in Mexico. We opened our first coffee machine in Mexico last week. So we developed it. People loves it because we can onboard a lot of people by buying coffee and using it with 3 clicks or a few steps. You can have a stable coin account in USDC, whatever you want, USDC, Bitcoin, and we are developing it. So I am glad to be here talking about cross-border payments, because we are doing this actually to our producers, coffee growers from Costa Rica now, Mexico. So glad to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Fantastic. I quickly looked at your project. I'm happy to double tap on this later throughout the webinar. It represents a very good use case, I think, also for the audience to understand. I can see that the participants is still increasing, so welcome everybody who joined a little bit later to this webinar. We are just in the introduction round. So much about, let's say, the Spanish-speaking part of LATAM. Now I like to give the floor to Kristen Ribeiro, who's actually from Brazil. Please tell us more and introduce yourself, Christian.
Thanks a lot, Tilmar. It's a pleasure to be here at this webinar with all these participants. So nice. So I'm the founder of Sul Payments. We are working in cross-border payments through Latin America. And we have companies in Brazil, Mexico now. And our idea is make life easier for entrepreneurs like Patricio. So I like a lot his use case about blockchain technology. This is what we are looking for in our company, help this kind of entrepreneurs to make their life easier, right? So we have Sul Payments in Switzerland, specialized in this payment intermediation between fiat and crypto and fiat. And our main goal is, of course, make cross-border transactions easier when it comes to Latin America, to Brazil, Mexico, Chile, Peru, all the countries that have some kind of difficult connection between banks, sometimes a little bit complicated. And blockchain technologies make life easier, right? So I think we can cut a lot of intermediaries in this case. So only with this kind of technology is possible to do this kind of cross-border transaction between these countries. And our group now, we have the company in Switzerland. We also have another company in Brazil, licensed IP to help this kind of collection between fiat and crypto. In Mexico now, we are expanding to here. So I think there is a lot of opportunities in this segment. We can talk and discuss a lot in this panel about it, but very nice to be here. Nice to meet you all. Thanks.
Thanks, Christian. Sounds like very valuable experience in the different countries you are currently facing. Happy to hear a little bit later. And then last but not least, we got Fernando here, also Spanish speaking in this case, but from the European continent still. Please, Fernando, if you could introduce yourself to the crowd.
Sure, thanks, Tilmar. And hi, everybody. I'm Fernando, Spanish, living in Lisbon currently. Almost 20 years in the payments industry. The last 12 years very much involved in Latin America. I had the chance to work with Chris in previous projects in one of the first cross-border payment solutions. And the last 3 years, I've been focusing on consulting with my own company, Latin Digital Bridge, which tries to help international companies to better understand the Latin American ecosystem in payments. Also, I've been building a payment orchestration system for almost a year now, hopefully launching very soon. And I also have a blog about payments in Spanish called P de Pagos in YouTube. It's just very new. We started 2 months ago, but very much always around payments, a lot with fiat, but more recently also touching crypto, touching especially USDT. Since USDT came into the equation, it started to bring real cases and more traction in the market, especially for countries that have difficulties accessing major currencies. We see in Latin America, for example, Venezuela or Argentina, where adoption is flying because it's really solving a problem because people cannot trade using their currency outside of their countries. Many applications. My first contact with the crypto blockchain world was precisely in Brazil, where BitPay made one of the first events there and explained really what Bitcoin was and what blockchain was. And that is very, very fundamental aspect. Some of the colleagues mentioned this. Education is absolutely a must for the general population to better understand the usage of blockchain. My first transaction was with Christian as well, and it was a very interesting experience for me. It's very different. First transaction that you do with a cryptocurrency you never forget for an old guy like me, I guess. So I'm very, very happy to be here with so many people are much more knowledgeable than me about this topic, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Fernando. Also, we're happy to have you after 20 years of experience. I think this speaks for itself. Many things we can learn also from you in this case. So I think for the audience now, it's clear that we have quite a rich panel, everybody coming from a different region, mainly from the Latin American continent. So where I believe every country also has their own kind of level of development on blockchain technology. Maybe we can start with Chris. If you could explain us a little bit more, what do you think is the current state of blockchain and crypto in Brazil? Like, do people know, use it? How is it going? Then maybe show what are challenges you see in the Brazilian market, and maybe opportunities where you see this is really a good use case blockchain technology can bring to the region of Brazil.
Okay, of course. Thanks, Tilmar. Thanks for the question. I think what we can talk about Brazil, is the improvement of the financial system, right? So the Brazilian Central Bank recently launched a product called Pix. It's an instant payment method from Brazil, and this got a massive usage in Brazil, right? So before it, we are using a lot of cash. We're using a product called Boleto, and the penetration of these products, of course, was huge, but not prepared for connection with blockchain, right? Because with blockchain, we need like 24/7 transactions. We want to do it in real time. So we try to develop some products before Pix, to speed up this kind of transactions in Brazil. But I think this advent of Pix make Brazil a very strong country when it comes to blockchain and crypto usage, because make things simpler and easy for people to understand how it works. Okay, so I want to transfer money to Fernando, for example. I can do it in real time. I just read a announcement from the Brazilian Central Bank 2 days ago. They announced that they did more than 200 million transactions in a unique day. So we can see how this is improving a lot. And when it comes to cross-border, of course, today we need to have like companies, in the middle of this transaction between the end user and the company that he's acquiring the product outside of Brazil, right? So we are seeing a lot of demand on it. And we believe that this kind of technology, together with blockchain, can improve this connection between the merchant and the end user in those countries, especially in Brazil, right? So this is how we see the future. We think there is an opportunity there for this connection to be easy between the merchant and the consumer in this region.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. And I think maybe jumping on here from the European perspective, I unfortunately can't see where the guests are coming from. But if we assume Crypto Valley Association is a Swiss organization with the international footprint, there will probably many Europeans being here. And just to put things into perspective, Europe as a whole has approximately 450 million citizens, right? So just the Brazilian country, the largest in the Latin continent, has more than 300 million citizens. And the adoption of Pix payment, I think, is now almost 40% of all online payments are covered by Pix, right? So we talk about 3 billion unique transactions per month. And I also read the update from Pix that they had this daily record of 200 million transactions per day. If we just consider Switzerland having around 9 million citizens, this is tiny. So explaining those volumes and the user numbers sometimes here, it is a bit difficult for Europeans to grasp, just because on our continent, the countries are smaller. Then same question, opportunities, challenges, maybe also the state of blockchain technology. How does it look like in Chile, Patricio?
Okay, well, in Chile, we are a smaller country than Brazil. And I would say that the banking system here is more developed than the other countries in the region. This is at least my perspective. So the people, so the people has access to this cuenta root, that is like a bank account provided by the, not by the central bank, but for a bank that is like owned by the state. Okay. But so we are the community in crypto here is little, but there are some interesting things happening here. We have the fintech law that regulated everything regarding to the digital assets here in Chile. So this is an advancement in this regard. From my side, what I see is that it is to use the current financial system, the traditional financial system, is very expensive, is very slow, and in other countries, if you want to do economic transactions with people in other countries, it's like a nightmare. We experimented it with this when we were developing the coffee machine. We wanted to transfer the dollars to pay directly to the producers, and it was almost impossible because they don't have dollar denominated accounts in the middle of a volcano in Costa Rica or in the middle of Amazonas in Brazil, you know. So the approach we took was, okay, we will teach you how to accept crypto payments. You can easily accept USDC or Bitcoin or whatever you want to receive in crypto. And we build this POS actually that is integrated to the machine and works with almost any vending machine with a, for instance, in a gas station, you can pay with crypto with our machine, or if you want to buy a Coke or Pepsi one, I don't know if I can say the brands, but you can pay with crypto if you put our machine. So the concept here is that for cross-border payments, the system is expensive, is slow, and there is a lot of people who cannot participate in the global economy, for instance, in coffee. But you have a lot of examples in Latin America where you need an intermediary to participate in this global economy. So I think blockchain and most important crypto with all its censorship resistance properties and decentralization can make improve this accessibility and can make much more people to participate in the global economy, for instance, in the coffee value chain or in other industries too. So that's my take, at least from Chile and from my experience in LATAM.
Okay, makes sense to me. What I said, so I used to live in Mexico, in Guadalajara in 2009. And back then we still had everything with cash, right? Over the years, I always come back, right? Visit friends and family, and it becomes more digital. But I always remember it was just a pain into the interbanking transfer, and then of course other challenges which come with the regulatory framework which is currently implemented. But then, like Fernando, you said you're relatively new into blockchain and crypto by itself, but you have substantial experience in the payment in industry itself in Latin America. Do you see the same issues like intercountry transfers on the Latin American country, interbanking transfers? What current or problems did you see in let's say the payments industry in Latin America?
Yes, the answer is yes to everything. So when we first started trying to create the rails for cross-border payments is because the traditional rails were not working for international companies. A company needed to register there and have an entity and have a lawyer, have an accountant. And it was very expensive and very slow. And then some smart people like Chris started trying to figure out how to make that happen and make it possible for international companies to accept payments. When Patricio said that it's very difficult for someone in a remote location to receive dollars, it's also difficult if you have an account in dollars, because you still rely on an intermediary and you don't know where the money is. We see this, I am seeing this as of today, where we are having issues to pay providers in Mexico from Brazil because we have to use intermediaries, and the payments get declined for no good reason. So that is the perfect example. It's not just people who don't have access to the banking system, but even those having access to the banking system is inefficient, is slow, is expensive, it does not work. That is one of the pillars why PIX had such an adoption, because it was designed to solve the problems of the banking system in Brazil. And that is why the solutions in blockchain will also succeed if they solve this problem, because it's a problem that exists. It's not only people who don't have access to banking. We're talking about companies, lawyers, payment companies whose DNA is to move money. So there's a huge pain there to be solved. And I do believe that blockchain has a lot to prove, but it's also very difficult to explain to those recipients, hey, open an account in an exchange, use USDT. It's such a different concept for them that they are afraid. They don't trust the system, but yet they trust the banking system, which has proved us again and again and again that it's not reliable. So there is a barrier there, a cultural barrier there on the traditional perception of security and safety with banks, which is, okay, it's great, but if it doesn't work, what do I do with the security and the trust? You are not helping me, and I don't know where my money is. I lived in Ireland, I had to send money to Spain. Sometimes the money was missing for 2 weeks. And it's like, okay, what do I do? Nobody knows. My bank doesn't know. The internet. It's like with blockchain, you have the ability to know everything, what's happening in real time. So absolutely 100%. There's a massive opportunity in remittance. There's a massive opportunity in B2B payments, and the market is heavily underserved still, even for those that have access. And of course, those that don't have access have an additional value there.
Yeah, interestingly, I just had lunch with an industry partner today, and they had a client based in Suriname, the northern part of the southern part of Latin America. And he received the message protocol where the money actually went to. And I think there were 5 banks in between until the money eventually arrived in Switzerland, and it still got blocked. So this is, I absolutely agree, especially cross-border payments internationally. There we have great solutions. So then again, education is something. I saw that Claudia is joining. Just before we give you the floor, Christina, how does it look like in terms of crypto adoption in Mexico, and how do you see the issues or the problems can be solved, maybe using stable coins?
Yeah, thank you, Tilmar. Well, the way that I see the adoption of blockchain technologies for cross-border payments has experienced a significant growth, in the recent years. However, we still face significant challenge in terms of education. I think education is one of the main supports that we have for this adoption and mass adoption for the blockchain technology. The lack of knowledge and understanding about blockchain and its practical application, it's one of the main obstacles we face in the region. It's crucial to invest in education. That's why here, Claudio and we always have been working on this, and to give more and more education in blockchain technology from so many ecosystems, so there will be more solutions to this problem. And it's important to know that education in blockchain should not only focus on technical aspects, but also on legal and regulatory aspects. as you mentioned, Tilmar, regulatory frameworks in Latin America can vary significantly from one country and another. When Chile, for example, Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador. And something incredible that is currently happening, it's happening in Salvador and Honduras, as I say early, where I was the last month, I think in March, yes, and we were able to make the first transaction and payment with blockchain and cryptocurrency there in Honduras. We, in the ICP Hub Mexico, built a solution and the app so we can make payments in crypto in a local small restaurant in Honduras. And with this example, we can see how blockchain adoption for payments is increasingly being achieved. So I think this is so important that people know and know about this technology so we can grow as a region here in Latam. So thank you. That's my
Fantastic.
You
mentioned a very good point. There's still another question to come. It's on regulation, but more to this later. Now I would like to quickly loop Claudio onto the stage. Please quickly introduce you, your experience in the space, and then the same for you, opportunities and challenges you see in the specific region where you're based. Hi, Claudio.
Hello, everybody. Apologies, just Zoom doing its thing. So my name is Claudio. I'm co-founder of Metapool. We're a liquid staking, multi-chain liquid staking platform. We support Aurora, Ethereum, Near, Solana, soon Intercomputer Protocol, Q Network as well. We've been building for the last 4 years. Our team is based out of Argentina and in Mexico, but we operate globally. And also the last 10 months, I've been working with the ICP Hub community in Latam, basically helping onboard new leaders and builders throughout the region, and more importantly, helping adoption of the different digital assets in several regions in the space. And so really happy to be here, part of the Crypto Valley Association for more than 2 years now, so going into 3. So happy about that. And so definitely for me, one of the most important things is how do we solve real world problems, right? One of the biggest problems in our region is there's no savings, right? In Western cultures, saving is part of the process. I think that's when you're like 15, 13, you get your savings account, right? When you're young. For those of us that have the privilege to have some extra income, yes, I did get my bank account when I was like 11 or 12, but definitely that's the leisure part of the whole region. And the reason why people don't save in Latin America is because they don't trust banks, right? And everybody's been in Latin America has been, for the lesser or better part of it, being at least heard the stories of a bank run, right? And for example, my dad went to two bank runs in Mexico, right? So, and we always have lived in the border between the US and Mexico, mainly Mexicali, Tijuana then. And everybody that lives in the border has a savings account in US dollars. That is one of the benefits of living in a border town. But that is something that is not for everybody, right? And so we have means to hedge against inflation. And more importantly, if you are a small, medium-sized company, it is very difficult for you to transact in dollars, right? Even if you have like a Shopify account, it is very difficult, or for God's sake, PayPal, accept payments in PayPal, right? It's just a pain. And so, yes, like Fernando and Christian and Patricio stated, right? Cross-border payments is part of the problem, but for me specifically, on where I'm trying to make an impact is, can we build an alternative savings account for everyday people, right? And more importantly, that they are able to be the owners of that value. Because once you put your fiat money in a bank, I'm sorry to tell you this, right? And for those that are working in TradFi or traditional finance, I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm just stating the obvious, right? In the sense that you do not own that value. The value is owned by the bank. The bank gives you a service that, yes, but in maybe Western cultures is a little bit different. But in Mexico, you're always open to that possibility that you might go to the ATM and you might not get your funds. That is a reality, right? And so ownership of the value creation process in financial instruments is for the top 1%, right? And even the top 1% have gotten rugged by financial institutions one way or another. And so what are we trying to build and solve here is, one, ownership, right? And this is where digital assets really shine, because yes, it comes with its challenges, right? You have to take into account that there's nobody that you can call in the middle of the night if your account got hacked, or if you, for one reason or another, set your private keys to somebody else, or if MetaMask got logged into a malicious account and then you get all your funds transferred to another account, right? So you have to be mindful that custody is an important aspect of digital assets. But more importantly, here's where education, and here's where I think Crypto Valley plays a role, right? We need to onboard folks into understanding what are the best practices, right? Where do we see the next bounce of the ball in terms of, yes, cross-border payments, but then I'll go 2 steps back and say, well, how do you accrue value, right? And how do we solve it within automatic savings account if you do staking, right? XYZ, right? So this is, I think, where the conversation gets interesting, sorry. In just the last 12 hours, for example, Binance announced USDT paired with or MXNT. I don't know. It's from Tether, right? So stable coins are the killer app, right? It solves a few of the problems. It does bring in a few more other problems, but I think it is right now a white canvas where a lot of actors can collaborate: traditional finance, banks, startups, protocols, all through what we're trying to envision here: non-custodial, full-on ownership, and transparency, right? Which I think are the 3 pillars for what we're trying to build here.
Clear. Thanks for the insight. Actually, in the lectures I do, so besides my professional occupation, I pursue PhD research, which also entitles teaching. And in my courses, I often refer to what I call the travel agency situation. So when I was young and bought my first flight, I would still go to a travel agency. And then until now, everybody more or less probably uses the online booking platform, right? But the freedom of booking it yourself also comes with responsibilities, right? So if you screw up the dates, or you book too fast, then it's on you. It comes with responsibility, right? So being managing yourself also comes with responsibility, which you can directly apply to cryptocurrencies and managing your custody. I like one thing you said, that different countries develop differently in terms of this technology, but in particularly regulation. And Switzerland positioned themselves at a very early stage. I remember I participated the Financial Market Authorities Roundtable in Switzerland already in 2017 to help the regulator to define and understand the technology. And they did a beautiful job. It gives investors the confidence that there is a legal framework, whereas entrepreneurs can act in an environment to realize their blockchain tech solutions. So here we have token classification, a very robust environment. I would like to know from Christian, how does this look like in Brazil? Do you have any experience? Is the regulator up to speed? Or is it still a gray zone and nobody really knows what's going on?
Still a gray zone. There is a law coming now into discussion. Of course, there is a lot of associations talking about regulation, crypto regulation. It passed a law now that at least say that cryptocurrencies are a kind of investment, right? So it's not complete, but it's growing, right? It's growing in Brazil. And, I am Brazilian, and one of the reasons that I came to Switzerland to open this new venture is exactly this, right? Is this kind of regulation that you have in place that make life of the entrepreneurs easy, right? All the companies that I did before here in Brazil were always working this gray zone. When I start Boa Compra, for example, cross-border transactions was very difficult. Boa Compra today is known as PagSeguro International, and was not very clear in terms of regulation, right? And now, when it comes to blockchain, we with Soul Payments in Switzerland, we managed to get this SRO license, and I think this is helping a lot the business and helping us to build something on the problems that we are facing, right? Like Claudio said, there is a lot of issues that we need to solve to make this kind of technology easy for everybody to use, right? It's not today is very complicated. Of course, there is education, but also in our hands here, develop products to make this thing easier for the end user. And this is what we are focused here. So we're trying to build technologies that bring this fiat world that is the traditional banking system into this blockchain technology. And for this, we need to work together with regulator, right? That makes sense for me. And we need to have a clear like how it works. That need to be very clear for the actors that are participating on it. And this, I can tell that Switzerland is very good for what we are doing, and I think we will improve a lot of our product in the next years.
Okay, thanks. So we can see there's a different development on the regulation. A lot of work has to be done. I think, and I hope with our community we can also support the regulator in one form or the other. Patricia, you kind of touched already on the regulation. Do you want to flesh it out a little bit how it looks like in Chile?
Well, first, this is not legal advice, nothing. I am not a law expert, nor a regulation expert, but what I can tell is that Chile made a fintech law, okay, and this treats digital assets, in this case cryptocurrencies, as if they were assets, okay, in the sense of taxes. So if you have Bitcoin, for instance, you have to declare it as if you own dollars, and you pay the taxes in the same way. But we are in the period of implementation, so the actual norms are being discussed and written, and are being written now. What is some things I like about this law is that the law is designed to address the risk of intermediation, of custodians, intermediaries, and all of these things. So all of these participants. So if you build a truly decentralized product where you don't make custody or you don't process transactions, you are like outside the regulation, which allows you to innovate more. Regulation are almost always in detriment of truly innovation. That's my opinion, at least, is for consolidating the market. But you have more certainty now for people who interact with these centralized intermediaries, exchanges, ramps, on off ramps, etc. So that's my impression. What I don't like is that are other things that are not related with crypto, that are related with privacy and with with an amount you have to stake to start being an intermediary, which in my opinion will be in detriment of the innovation. But leaving this aside, is good to know, to have more clarity, at least in Chile.
Understood. Yeah.
And we are in the implementation process, so it is not until as far as I know, it is not enforceable yet, but we are close to. Okay, so
Makes sense. Yeah. You're very valuable insight. Also, there much work to be done. Let's see how we can leverage this Swiss Crypto Valley Association to educate. One of my passion. So, did I understand correctly, Claudio and Christina? You are both in Mexico. Is that correct? Yes. Then,
That's correct.
in that case, maybe let's Christina, what is your take on the regulatory environment in Mexico on blockchain?
Well, I think I forgot to say, but I wanted to say it right now. I'm also an active member from CVA to the beginning of 2024. So I'm glad to say it and be here with all of you. But in terms of regulations, I think we have so much work to do. But as I mentioned earlier, I am a co-founder of Zona 3, that is a multi-chain educational hub. And we are committed to finding innovation or in innovative solutions for the challenge that we face here in Latin America. So in concrete example of this case, one of the success or use case that we have is the students from Technological University from Tlaxiaco, Oaxaca, here in Mexico, who wants to sell handicrafts, I think it says in English, textiles and everything, products to customers globally and United States. No? So previously, they faced difficulties with the high cost and slowness to cross-border payments using traditional methods, such as all of us mentioned in this session. So by adopting a blockchain-based solution for the international payments, they reduce costs and speed up the process of receiving payments for so many parts of the world. But I think the main focus on this scenario, it will be the education to people and understand the difficulties that they have. So, as Claudio mentioned earlier, so I think this is the most important thing, to understand what it means to adopt this kind of technology that here in Latin America, and especially in Mexico and other regions in south of Latin America, is something new and a little bit difficult for people to adopt. So I think this, from my perspective, it's one of the most goals that I have to achieve here in Latin America. That will be my contribution.
Makes sense. And since you guys both based in the same country, I think Claudio, you probably share the same opinion. Fernando, is there anything you can tell about the regulatory environment? We know you're new to Web3, or is this a little bit out of scope?
Well, here in Portugal, all I know is that as long as you hold the crypto assets for longer than a year, you are exempt of taxes. Now, the trick is, how do you show this to the authorities? It will be interesting to see the tax declarations of people showing their wallet movements, and the people working in the tax office to understand them, but that's a different story. In Spain, they have a completely different approach, where they tax crypto assets as any other sort of income, which is, I think, not great. I think it's a completely different story. But hey, it's our country needs to raise funds as soon as possible. In terms of the development of the regulation, there's not much more, but there are very interesting movements here in Europe with the implementation of instant transfers with the new payment service directive that is coming into place, which will also come with the digital euro, which there are still discussions whether that is going to use blockchain or not, and how the governments are going to incentivize people to use it, because there's not, it's not very clear why would I use a digital asset that is created to counter cryptocurrency, which its principle is to be private and to be decentralized, with an asset that's going to be non-private and centralized. So it's going to be very interesting to see why would I use something that goes against the principle of what this is created for. I clearly it's a fear movement on the European side due to the increase of use of crypto, with especially stable coins. And it's going to be very interesting how things develop in that respect here in this side of the world.
Makes sense. Then just thanks for your insight. Always good to still have, let's say, the traditional finance, or the payment, the traditional payment view, because obviously everything what comes now on blockchain will probably change the regulatory environment, how it is. Then maybe in time of the light, Claudio, just keep in mind, we're slowly coming to an end of this webinar, but Claudio and Patricio, maybe Claudio first, still on the regulatory item.
Yeah, I think here, and since the Metapool team is divided between Argentina and Mexico, we have, well, at least I have a lot of visibility there. One important aspect, even just staying away from the controversy of Milei and all that stuff, right? One of the biggest things that they did is that it is now legally, you can pay anyone in a digital asset in Argentina. That's done. So it is like a very, very important step forward. But just it is not legal tender, right? You cannot go to a place and pay your refreshing drink with crypto, but you can pay for goods and services if it's under a contract. And I think that's a very important step, right? Allowing people, for them to decide how they want to get paid or which asset they want to use to transact. I think that's a step forward, right? And I think this is something that we're pushing a lot in the ICP hubs in LATAM, is that we believe we are going to be a frontier market, which is on the border of crypto mass adoption. It's not going to happen in Western countries because crypto is not solving big issues there. It is solving some cross-border payments, I agree, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, but mass adoption is going to start in what we believe are frontier markets. And I think Argentina, Brazil, Mexico are going to be at the forefront of that, including regions in Southeast Asia, right? And so I think this is something that all of us need to be aware of, that we are making those initial steps. And so I believe it's just, like I said before, just a white canvas, right? If you are interested in launching projects, I would really definitely look into which countries you have more affinity. If you're for Portugal, of course, Brazil is the next neighbor there, right? For Spaniard companies, of course, Mexico, Colombia, that's a good, and Argentina as well. Still faces a few problems, but anyhow, but I think they're open to making the necessary steps that will allow masses of crypto adoption to happen at a local and regional level.
Thanks for the insight about Argentina. We haven't covered this, but you're the expert. Thanks for that. Then Patricio, on the regulatory item.
Yeah, very short, just supporting what Cristina said about education. I think this coffee vending machine that accepts crypto is a good tool for onboarding people, for educating them. approaching them with a simple product that is coffee. I don't need to explain what is a coffee, but if you pay with this digital currency or whatever, and a coffee appears, so you can make a lot of you can create more elaborate concepts from this starting point. This is the first thing, and the other thing is that it is important to educate people in having their own mnemonic phrase, for instance. So, and this is something you can make with a lot of education or in real life in the first time. People will lose their first mnemonic, and this is a tragedy, but we saw it a lot. But okay, the risk is very low because you are just buying a coffee. You don't have a lot of money, and when people lose their mnemonic for the first time, they realize how important is to have control of your own asset, to have the responsibility. So the machine and all these daily interactions makes you to feel how crypto is in the reality, and how it works, and makes you a little bit more comfortable with this. So I think these coffee machines are very aligned with what Christina's mission is too, and Claudio for sure.
Yeah, I think it represents a really good use case on how powerful the technology actually can be in a real life use case by buying coffee, right? So we're slowly coming on to an end of this webinar. But to summarize back, so we had different countries. We get Mexico, we get Chile, we get over Brazil and Argentina. We understood that the regulatory environment is still somewhat lacking, but this doesn't harm the different startups and projects in the region to actually innovate and try to overcome and use blockchain as an infrastructure, a tool of payments to improve the problems the different regions currently face. We understood the opportunities which are there in the different market, and each of the panelists has their own project and trying to enhance and spread the knowledge of blockchain technology in their region. Now, before we end, I prepared 3 fireside questions which I like to answer the panelists. A real quick fireside, as it says, quick question, quick answer. Let me start, Christina, with the first question. What is your favorite blockchain or token?
Oh my gosh, it's a difficult question. I have so many, by the way. Well, I'm going for the one that I work right now. So internet computer, my favorite blockchain. And my favorite token, it will be ICP as well. So
ICP it is. Christian, how about you?
Bitcoin, of course.
Maximalist,
Just for fun.
Yeah, so I am like a
can I
Bitcoin
change
guy.
my answer?
So
I say Bitcoin too.
Claudio,
wrong.
how about you? Claudio, how about you? Blockchain or
Yeah, so definitely few things here. Yes, I think so. For example, my kids' savings is RMBTC, right? So it's I believe that blockchains tokens are tools, right? Store of value in CKBTC, right? So that's where my kids' savings are. We operate in different multi-chain. I believe it's going to be a multi-chain world. So I think the narrative behind AI is going to be really important the next couple for this next cycle. I believe like Near Protocol is one of the really exciting things there. Of course, ICP with the decentralized cloud storage as well. They actually ran an AI agent on top of a canister on a smart contract on ICP. So that's a really good one.
If you would need to decide for one, which one is it?
Oh
if
my
I
God.
would decide for one. So So definitely, yeah. So in this one, I'll put my hands in on the fire. Should not be considered financial advice, by the
No.
way. So I'll do the ICP just because it has a broader use case, and not just one, or just
Oh, yeah.
focusing on one. So it just depends on what you want to solve. But because it is a trick question, right? But there's
There are many
already
good ones. There are many good ones.
many, but this I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, right? And shout
Exactly.
out to the Solana ecosystem as well for the great job they've been doing, trying to hold the line and for it to be usable the last couple of days.
Tough
But
job,
anyhow.
tough job. How about you, Fernando?
I'm totally out of my depth here. I have no opinion in this case, to be
That's
honest.
very good. Stay neutral as the Swiss are, so am I. Then second fireside question. Until end of 2024, does Bitcoin go up and down, Patricio?
5 words. There is no second best. I am not a maxi
Down,
at all.
up or down?
But, up, absolutely up.
Claudio, what about you? Up.
Yes, definitely up.
Fernando, what
Up as well.
up? Christina? Up. Christian?
Yeah, goes up.
Goes up.
I think
Very
it's
bullish panel
new
here.
new
Very
form
bullish.
new form of investment, safe. So I
Green light.
think it's very good.
Green light. And then last question, maybe Christian, you can just continue. What's your suggestion to anyone to start with cryptocurrency? What would you say? What's the best to start?
I think the best to start is, try it, right? I think we talk about it
Yeah.
at sometimes. It's just, open an account, build your wallet. It's like I did with Fernando, right? So Fernando was always asking me how it works, how I do it. And I say, buy your first Bitcoin, man. So look, I give you some Bitcoin, go to the exchange, try there. And then you see how technology works, how it can help you on your day by day. So I think you will start to see a little bit difference, right? But you need to try open an account in some exchange, transfer your Bitcoins or other currencies or other assets that you buy there, test it, see how this works, and research. Take a look there. In the exchanges you can find a lot of information. So I think the best idea here is to try.
What do you think, Christina? Is it attending one of your lectures or also just do it?
I love it. I love it. I think just the same as Christian, do your own research, learn, and most important, make mistake, because those mistake is going to make you grow, learn, and I don't know, learn principally. So
I think, Fernando, you agree, just do it, open an account and get it up and running.
I as a Latin person, I feel always safer if I hear from a friend. The best referral that we have is someone we trust. For me, it was very easy to do it, but I still have my shivers whenever I log in my Trezor and I put the wrong password. I see the wallet empty. As I said, it's even for someone who's experienced with finance, it's a very different world, and it takes a lot of time to put your brain into the right place, because we are very used to the traditional finance world and how things work. So when you see, that you can move funds from Spain to Mexico to Brazil in real time for very little cost, it's really like, okay, what the hell am I doing using bank transfers?
Claudio, what's your take?
Yeah, my 2 cents on it is, first, you don't have to do this alone, right? I think this is the most important aspect of it. Please do not trust every YouTube video you see. Don't do that. And just, I think Crypto Valley Associations, it would be a good space, right? Maybe a little bit too formal. What I'll say is go to any meetup, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Near, ICP, whatever meetup, and ask somebody, and through curiosity, hey, what is this? How can I get my first token here? If it's a meme coin, fine. If it's cats, dogs, birds, whatever, right? I think the most important thing is for people to understand the power of being the owner of that asset. So we are building the necessary foundations to support sovereign individuals. I know that might be a little bit off topic, but I believe that people starting to understand why it is important for every one of us to own our data, which is a little bit difficult, and our own capital or our own source of value creation. It is how we're going to be improving as a society as a whole, and to start to evenly distribute the opportunities that we're building. So first of all, just get your feet wet in whatever shows your poison wisely.
And you, Patricio, last but not least?
Yeah, learn by doing and using the actual tech. Don't spend a lot of money if you don't want to lose the money, but you can learn by using it. You can learn with Cristina, with Claudio, for instance, and with other content creators too. You can buy a coffee to learn too, but the main take is don't be afraid. You won't lose a lot of money when you are just starting, but you will feel the ownership. You will feel the responsibility, and you will be more responsible, not just in crypto, but in your digital life as a whole. You will care more about your passwords, and you will have a change of attitude. So that's the recommendation. Learn by using. Don't be afraid of doing errors. Don't do big errors with big money. Just but there is nothing to be scared of.
I think two important things. Maybe take $50, open an account exchange, play around, get familiar with some basics, and just make sure you write down your password for that exchange and your email address. If you keep that, then you're good to go. And I think with $50 you can start a lot, and it's a very good investment to understand how this new technology works. That being said, I would thank everybody who joined this webinar. I also want to thank all the LATAM representative being here on the panel: Patricio, Claudio, Fernando, Cristina, and Christian. Crypto Valley Association, go to our website to stay in touch with all the upcoming events we're having. And thanks so much for joining, and I see you all in the cloud. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.